Hello everybody and welcome to Rewind to Easter. We're really glad that you've been able to join us today, and we hope that you have a lot of fun as we learn all about the Easter story and why it's so important to Christians all around the world. Now I wonder, when you think about Easter, what kind of things come to your mind? Maybe one of those things is eggs. And so we're going to start off this morning with a bit of a fun quiz all about eggs. And you're going to see an egg appear up on your screen, and you're going to have two choices to decide what might hatch out of that egg. And then you've got 5 seconds to decide and make your choice. So here we go, let's enjoy the egg quiz together. Okay, so here we go with our egg quiz. Here is the first egg. You have to decide what you think hatches out of it. Do you think it is a duck or a crocodile? You're going to get 5 seconds to decide. So, if you thought it was a duck, you're wrong. It was actually a crocodile. Okay, here is egg number 2. Take a look. Do you think a chicken or a pigeon would hatch out of an egg like this? Give yourself a pat on the back if you thought chicken, you got it right. Here is egg number 3. This is quite different. Do you think an ostrich or a turkey hatches out of an egg like this? So it's actually an ostrich. Well done if you got that one right. Here is egg number 4. Do you think this is a swan or a tortoise? And if you look closely, you can actually see its little face peeping out. So well done if you thought tortoise, that is exactly the right answer. 2 more to go. Here is egg number 5. It's a lot smaller. Do you think this is a robin or a platypus? Well, if you said platypus, well done, you got it exactly right. So here is number 6, the final egg. Do you think out of eggs like these come snakes or seagulls? Well, if you said snake, well done, you've got it right. So I hope you had a lot of fun doing that. And we're now going to rewind to Easter and journey through the events of that Easter week.
Have you ever been in a crowd when someone famous is about to arrive? Or have you seen huge crowds on the television waiting for someone important to pass by? A long time ago, I was in London as part of a crowd waiting to see the Queen in a coach go past on her way to the Houses of Parliament. There were loads of people there and everyone was very excited. Then the Queen's coach arrived and everyone cheered loudly. It was over very quickly, just a flash of gold, and then she passed by. But I'm glad I was there. I want to tell you about something similar that happened about 2,000 years ago in a town called Jerusalem. There was this man who everybody had heard about. He'd been around for the last 3 years and he was the talk of the town, the person everyone wanted to meet. He was the most famous person around at the time, and people were excited because he was coming. There had been stories about this man, how he'd brought people back to life after they'd been dead for several days, about him giving over 5,000 people lunch out of 5 loaves and 2 fishes, about him calming storms, even about him walking on water. Wow, how amazing. Who wouldn't like to meet somebody like that? I know I would. Well, this man's name was Jesus, and guess what? Jesus was going to Jerusalem. You would not believe how excited the people of Jerusalem had become. The town was buzzing, and they could not wait for their opportunity to meet this really famous man. They'd put on their best coats and had gone out to line the streets so that they could get the first glimpse as Jesus entered Jerusalem. They seemed to be waiting for ages. Time always goes so slowly when you're looking forward to something exciting, like the last few days before your birthday. Don't they drag? Well, that was what it was like for the people waiting for Jesus to arrive. Nothing they could do could make the time go any quicker. Standing by the side of the road, the people decided that it would be fantastic if they could get some banners or brightly coloured flags to wave when Jesus arrived, to show that they were really pleased to see him. However, These were nowhere to be found nearby. What could they use instead? They saw the palm trees above their heads, so everyone reached up for a branch from the palm tree along the side of the road and held it, ready to wave when Jesus arrived. All the children were so excited that they couldn't stand still and ended up nearly hurting each other while they practiced their branch waving. Then the people realised that the road to Jerusalem was only sand and gravel. It's not really right for a famous person to arrive on a rough road looking a bit messy. However, what could they do? They didn't have any paving stones with stars on them or even a bit of red carpet. What could they use instead? Their coats. So all the people took their coats off and laid them on the ground, ready for the big arrival. Suddenly the people could hear people coming along the road. This is it, they said. This is Jesus coming along the road. He is arriving in our town in Jerusalem. I wonder how he will arrive. In a golden carriage? On an open-top bus? No, he's on a donkey. What on earth was going on? Jesus arriving in Jerusalem on a donkey? Well, apparently that's what he'd asked for, so that was what he got. As Jesus was coming along the road, all the people started to cheer and shout. What an amazing atmosphere. It all seemed so special. A really memorable day. The strange thing was that a week later, everything changed, and the crowd were angry and just wanted rid of him. How could they do such a thing to such an amazing person as Jesus?
Okay, everybody, it's now time to go to your workbooks that you've been given, your Rewind to Easter workbooks, and to work through them and fill them in. So I hope you have fun doing that, and we'll see you shortly to continue the story through Easter. Jesus and his friends were having a special Passover meal together in an upstairs room in Jerusalem. "You are all my friends," said Jesus, "but one of you will betray me tonight." Jesus' friends were shocked. "I would never betray you." "Surely you don't mean me." "I won't betray you, Jesus." "None of us would ever do that," they exclaimed. But Jesus replied sadly, "One of you who shares this meal with me will hand me over to the religious leaders." Then Jesus picked up some bread, he blessed it and broke it. He gave it to his friends, saying, "This is my body. Take it and eat it," Jesus said. Then Jesus blessed the cup of wine and handed it to each of them, saying, "This represents my blood. Drink it, all of you," Jesus said. Jesus finished by saying, "Remember me whenever you eat together like this. Remember that my body was broken for you, and remember that my blood was poured out for you."
Jesus and his disciples went out into the Garden of Gethsemane so that Jesus could pray there in peace. I love being out in the garden at this time of year because there are so many signs of spring around. Crocuses and daffodils and tulips popping up everywhere, and leaves beginning to show on the trees. Even some early blossom is around on some trees. It's as if new life is springing up everywhere. And new life is one of the important things about the Easter story. We'll hear later about how Jesus came bringing new life and hope to this world, but there's a lot to happen in the story before that. Would you like to encourage some new life? We have some pots for you to put some seeds in and to plant like I've been doing here. And you can put some water on your plants from time to time, keep them in a warm place, and hopefully before too long you might have some signs of new life of your own. You could even plant your little seedlings out in the garden once they're big enough. So we'll leave Jesus and his disciples in the Garden of Gethsemane for a little while you do some planting, before we hear about what happened next to Jesus.
Okay, so it's time for our Easter true or false quiz. You're going to get 5 seconds to answer true or false for each question. Maybe if you think it's true, you could put your thumbs up, and if you think it's false, you could put your thumbs down. So, are you ready? Let's go. Question number 1. On Palm Sunday, Christians often make crosses from oak leaves. Is that true or false? It's false. They actually use palm leaves like the ones that they put on the floor in front of the donkey that Jesus rode into Jerusalem the week before Easter. Question number 2. The tallest ever Easter egg was 7.5 metres high, about the size of 3 adults. Is that true or false? It's true, and it was actually made of marshmallows and chocolate. Question number 3. 1 million chocolate Easter bunnies are made for Easter each year. Is that true or false? It's false. It's actually 90 million Easter bunnies. Question number 4. Staying with the Easter bunny theme, apparently most people eat the ears of a chocolate bunny first. Is that true or false? It's true. Apparently 76% of people eat the ears of the chocolate bunny first before they eat anything else. And lastly, question number 5. In Colombia, on the day before Easter, they hold beauty competitions for their donkeys, and the donkeys are dressed in costumes. Do you think that's true or do you think that's false? So it's actually true. And apparently the winning donkey never has to work again in its life.
Walk!
What's happening?
Jesus has been taken!
They've taken him.
Who, Jairus?
The Romans!
They've taken him! They're
Killing him!
The Romans have Jesus!
Back! Back!
Jesus! What is the charge?
Tamar!
This man is innocent! He is a great teacher!
I couldn't save him. I was silent.
Lord!
He saved everyone else. Why doesn't he save himself?
If he's the Messiah, let him come down now.
Come down now. Leap off. Prove your power. If you are the Son of God. If. I give you my spirit.
It is finished!
It's true. It must be true. This man was a son of God.
Well, we've been hearing a bit about the Easter story, and it's really a story which the friends of Jesus had written down. And they did that, spent a lot of time telling us about what happened in that last week. For them and for us, it's the most important part of Jesus' life, because what he did wasn't just for them there, but his death and his coming alive again was for the whole world, forever. So, what happened during that last week, which we call Holy Week? Well, I'm going to try and tell you the story using this piece of paper. So during that last week, Jesus came down to Jerusalem, to the big city. So imagine this is the big city here. And everyone was really excited. They thought that Jesus was going to come and rescue them from the Romans. So they made palm branches and they waved them, singing, Hosanna, welcoming Jesus as he came to the city, waving their palm branches. But soon, Jesus began to do some strange things. He came to Jerusalem and he came to the temple, and he went into the temple and he saw people buying and selling things, and he got really angry and he threw them out, saying that this is God's house, it's a place of prayer. And during the week that followed on from there, he started telling them some strange stories which made people wonder what sort of a king was he going to be. The leaders were getting more and more angry and plotted to have him removed before he caused any more trouble. By the Thursday, his followers were getting a bit afraid of what was going on, and they crept quietly through the back streets of Jerusalem into an upstairs attic where they hid in fear of those who were after them and Jesus. And in that room, Jesus celebrated the special Passover meal with his friends to remember how long ago God had sent Moses to rescue the people of Israel. But during the meal, however, Jesus took some of the food and drink on the table and he gave them new meanings. He held the cup of wine and he said, this will be the cup of like his blood poured out to rescue everyone. And then he took some of the special flat bread that they were eating and said that as he broke it, it was going to be like his body that would be broken to rescue everyone. And he asked them to do this again and again, to remember him. At the end of the meal, Jesus took some of his friends into a garden outside the city walls so that he could pray. But his enemies were coming to get him. And all his friends ran away while he was tied up and put on trial. People said all sorts of unkind things about him, accusing him for things he hadn't done and treating him really cruelly. But not once did he fight back, or never was he rude to them. He took all their hatred and overcame it with love. Finally, they took Jesus outside the city. Like a common criminal, they nailed him to a cross. Even then, Jesus did not give in to hatred, but even then, they heard him say, Father, forgive them. And he died. The soldiers made sure of that. And once the crowd had gone away, some of his friends, they took his body and put it in a cave. They put his body in a cave, and then a big stone was put in front, across the entrance. And it seemed that that was the end. What sort of a rescuer had Jesus been? His friends went home defeated and said, well, they were just so sad. They just waited quietly till the next day, as it was a day of rest for the Jewish people. But early on the Sunday morning, some of the women went to the cave to see if they could clean up Jesus' body, because it had been buried so quickly on the Friday evening. And when they got there, they found the cave was open. They discovered that Jesus had gone. His death was not the end. Because of what Jesus had done, God had turned death back to life. Now, if you've been doing the ripping of the paper, hopefully you'll have some bits left. And these bits will spell out a word. I wonder if you can see what word it's going to be. Can you work it out yet? It's spelling out the word life. And that's why Easter is such an important time for Christians. Because of Jesus' death and his rising again, we can all know God ourselves and we can have life forever.
Hello. I don't know if you celebrate Easter with your family or with the people you live with, but I'd like to give you all a challenge. This Easter, as you eat your Easter eggs, or maybe see them in the shops, as you're walking around and you see the beautiful plants and flowers and the signs of new life, have a try at rewinding back to what really happened at Easter and think about the story behind the symbols. Remember that Easter is a time when Christians celebrate that Jesus died and rose again. Well, we've all had a lot of things to think about today, and just now we're going to take a short time to think about what Easter means for you. Think about everything you've learnt in the video up to now. Maybe you could have in your mind a picture of an Easter egg or a cross or a beautiful flower. Let's be quiet now. Thank you for joining us for Rewind. Have a lovely Easter.